What is going on YouTube? It's your boy 3NG. We're back with another video, and before I start, just shout out to my boy Tech Chaos, owner of the editorscorner.com, where you can go ahead and check out the latest news and updates on the gaming scene. And also shout out to Ubisoft for providing us with a review code for Recon Wildlands. Now there's some in-game content I want to talk about, such as the narrative content. You're able to see some videos when prompted with cutscenes, character briefings, cartel updates, some Kingslayer files. When you're playing with AI, you're able to use your drone or binoculars. You're able to mark enemies and take them down with the snipers, give some orders to your teammates, and go all guns blazing. Something I encourage you to do when you're playing with your friends is infiltrate the enemies by night. When you're using the night visions, using suppressors, when using all your equipments and guns blazing, I think playing it at night makes it much more fun and intense. So I encourage you guys to do that when you do get the game. You have the TAC map, which shows all your missions and everything. When you hit the tab button, you get to display your whole character profile. You get to, there's a leveling system in the game. You're rewarded with some skill points with the skill tab, which allows you to improve your proficiency with firearms, some stamina. You get to improve and unlock some drones in different capacities for your devices, unlock and upgrade your items, improve your personal stats, and overall just make it much more tough for you as a ghost when you're up in the wild against these enemies. Now on the fly, something that is actually pretty cool is being able to change your weapon mechanics as you're playing the game. So you can take off your suppressor equipment, you can switch to trigger mode, switch to scope zoom, as well as swap under barrels. So you just have to use the D-pad on the controller. Some of the stuff that you guys should know when you're getting into this game. You can also improve your weapons with different customization options using the gunsmith, something I was really a big fan of in Ghost Recon Future Soldier. Also, there is fast travel in this game, so when you do see rally points which appear on the maps, which is discovered, it allows you to fast travel in the game from long distances, especially in co-op, because when you're playing with friends and you're far away from the actual mission, it gives you that ability to fast travel. This is a very ambitious project by Ubisoft. You can just tell by the way the world works, the dynamic weather patterns, the vistas. This is one of the largest worlds they've ever created. Now, you can debate that this is a rinse and repeat of the actual engine or the map. They are using the Snowdrop engine, which is used in the Division, but I must say a lot of work has been put into this title. Now, as far as the world goes, I'm gonna be more specific in this review / first impressions. This game took several years to develop, I believe 5 or 6 years, or I think 4 or 5 years. But just to get right into it, Ghost Recon Wildlands is the latest installment to the franchise, and this is taking a different direction to the series, pushing PvE, which is player versus enemy, in a campaign that can be played via co-op or by yourself. The PvP part of the game is going to come later on via a free update. Now, Ghost Recon Wildlands takes place in Bolivia in 2019 and is overran by a massive corruption due to the Santa Blanca, which is a drug cartel which originated in Mexico. Now, Bolivia is overrun by the cocaine industry and is considered to become a narco state. Now, someone part of the DEA by the name of Ricky was killed. The US decides to create a group called Kingslayer, where we, the Ghost, operates in forces to take out the cartel in several parts of the country. Now, you can do it in single player via AI or suggested with online co-op and friends. I will have to say that this has to be one of the most beautiful open world games I've seen on the PS4 Pro alongside Horizon Zero Dawn. This game's world looks amazing, and I can see the years and dedication that they put into this world. Like I mentioned earlier in this video, the mountains, the terrains, the mud, the trees, the forest, everything, all the different environments, the dynamic weather patterns, everything looks absolutely gorgeous in this game. Your actual player itself has some detail, but I will say that so much has been sacrificed for this open world. However, I feel like this world is too big for its own good, and let me explain. Now, the missions in the game, the drug cartels, the bosses that reside in these specific parts of the country, you have several missions for these bosses, roughly around 5 or 6. To unlock these 6 missions, you have to complete the little small side missions, the little briefcase-like intel missions, which basically reminds me of Mafia 3, and I've stated this in both videos previously, that you do the same thing up until you get to the main boss, and the main boss isn't anything rewarding. There's no real challenge as far as how to encounter this boss, other than the fact if you do play on extreme difficulty, you alongside your friends or online players or with the AI would have to strategically have to get in. But as soon as you're in, you can legit snipe the boss from like miles away. You can go in however you want. but at the end result, there's really no reward. You would go through countless, maybe even 1 hour or two, just doing all these side missions or whatnot, or just roughly around 45 minutes to then finally get to a boss and then do the same thing all over again. The only difference is the drug bosses that reside in these specific parts of the country either try to escape a certain way or they try to shoot back. That's really all you get from it. Now, I'm being 100% honest with you. I think when you do play with your friends, you can still get a kick out of it. You can still have a lot of fun, especially given that there's so much customization in this game. You can go in with an assault class. You can go in being a sniper. You can go in being one with a shotgun. You can go in however you want. You can approach these missions however you want. And the end result always remains the same. Now, I do find it an issue because this is an open world, a beautiful open world that just has a cluster of rinse and repeat missions. I have a problem that after maybe 2 bosses, people will get tired of actually doing the same thing. No actual order, you can encounter any boss. And also, I encountered an unknown boss, which means his identity wasn't revealed. And what happened was I have to complete some of the missions for this drug cartel to take him in. And after his identity was revealed, I guess some information was brought up. I was able to take out a boss called La Praga. That was one of the cartel bosses in a certain part of the country. And I didn't have to do any of his missions, any side missions or whatnot in the location in which he resided in. And I was half and half with that because one side of me is like, oh wow, that's kind of cool. Some of the information basically exposed some of the location of certain bosses, and I was able to defeat one of the bosses early without even having to do any of his side missions. And then the other part of me is like, I'm not even going to touch that location no more and do the missions because I already took out the actual drug cartel that resided along this location. Now, I mentioned this in the beta. I do like the fact that this is a third-person shooter first, and when you aim your weapon, you're able to change from third person to first person however you feel comfortable. I think the weapons, once again, the time to kill, the mechanics of each weapon have their own uniqueness. All the attachments and the style of the weapons are nice. I actually enjoy that a lot. Although I do wish that instead of giving the menu to just unlock whatever weapon after every mission, which I just don't feel is that much rewarding, I would have preferred them having storefronts in this world, in this open world game, have storefronts where you encountered either in the safe zone, so that way you can go ahead and just purchase your weapons there. And for me personally, it's not much of a difference than you just go into your menu, but if this is an open world game, you need to take advantage of what you can do in an open world game. Because as far as I'm concerned, playing this game, all you do is you enter this beautiful, amazing world to do the same intel missions. You're going to extract certain people, bring them back to a certain base in which there's really no depth to it. You're going to get a small cutscene about his or her profile, and then you're going to be given another mission to do. And it's basically the same thing. And some people gave me flack because I called it out in the beta, and you know what, you got me because it's a beta, I shouldn't be judging, but this is basically the same thing. And being that I'm almost done with this game, I beat several bosses, and it's basically the same methods every time. Although you can approach however mission you want, and I think that's very good because when I play with friends, I would hate that we have to approach it the same style, but you also got to understand that the end result with the drug cartel will remain the same. I do enjoy the physics of driving, although I feel like the camera angle does kind of mess it up. There was certain missions where I had to chase after the drug cartel when he tried to escape, and with a motorcycle under the tunnel was a bit frustrating because I had to move the right analog stick every time I was making turns. It reminded me of like Watch Dogs. It kind of messed me up a little bit, and hopefully they can fix that and have like an automatic camera turn when you're driving your vehicles. The helicopters, in my opinion, are not in my favor. I don't like how you have to handle them. Basically, they swing left and right. They're a bit annoying, actually, when you're driving a helicopter, but I do love the view. Like I said, I think this game is purely just like one of those monumental games of just how you view it, because the game looks amazing. But once again, that's all you really get from this game. Now, the missions can be fun, and I do think that if you take into consideration that this is a tactical shooter, I think the funness out of this game will be how you and your teammates encounter and approach each mission and boss. It's not really for you to understand, although there is a story at hand with this game. I think the end result is to get to the main drug cartel boss and take out whoever's pushing this cocaine industry in Bolivia and get it back to its stable form and get it back to the country that it once was. This game has a lot of potential, and the question I have to ask you guys is, being that this world doesn't have a life existence, and what I mean by that is, People who live in this world are people who pertain to the missions. You have several individuals, several family members who go alongside the road, in which doesn't make any sense to me because they all look the same. Members who live in the more urbanized area look the same as the families who live in the winter cold areas. Everyone looks the same. There's no uniqueness. And being that there's so little depth and character inside the world, aside from the actual environment itself, my question to you guys is, would you sacrifice the depth of the life within this world for just good gun mechanics, repetitive missions, and an open world? Or would you have made this game much smaller, a much smaller scale world, but added more depth to the missions, action packed, and gave some life to the people? Because we have to remember, this is an open world game. This is not a linear game. This is not a game where you progress and you can't go back from where you started. This is an open world game. And a game that really reminds me of itself in its world is Just Cause. Just Cause 3 had the same issue. Unfortunately, although that had so much fun factor, destruction environments, when you went to each world, it had the same sequence of events, the same little environments, the same people. There was nothing unique. It was such a huge world, but it had no character. And unfortunately, Ghost Recon Wildlands doesn't have that type of character, but it offers you the view of a lifetime because the game is absolutely gorgeous. And I just hope that maybe in the future they can update this game with just more people, more worlds, give us more updates, bring more difficulty. You know, with the expansions that they're going to bring, I feel like that's going to also increase the likeliness of this game and bring some more character and depth to this game. But as a result, right now, I think you'll have your fun, but you soon, not everyone, but soon you might feel like the missions got to be dubbed a little bit because they're a bit repetitive from the very beginning. Now, some things I do enjoy about the game is if you're playing with some friends or some people online who know how to play, the callouts can be extremely fun. Like, you can have people tell you, listen, I'm on the upper edge bridge, and take out the enemy who's on the fort on the upper right end. Like, when you have people who know how to do actual tactical, like strategic callouts, it can make for such a fun game. And you can enter these missions however you want, extract whatever hostage or details or intel however you want, whichever weapons you want, and have that much fun. Like, that's catered to that type of player. You know, if you're someone who's a fan of sniping, listen, stay on the upper end of this mountain. We're gonna go all the way down here, and when I tell you to do so, go ahead and shoot this enemy here. Like, you can have those moments in this game. And if you're a third-person shooter head, you will definitely enjoy it for that part. But if you are expecting a story about James who had this crazy crisis and you're going in now in this war, like, it's nothing like that. Don't expect a story that has depth. Just keep in mind, you're just going in, extracting whatever the information and mission that it pertains to, and then you're killing a boss. That's really all you're doing. But it can make for some fun moments, especially however you have your gun customized. If you have it a semi, a fully, a one shot, you can truly enhance your experience by playing however you want. And the best thing about this game for me personally would have to be the gunplay. I mean, that should be everyone's favorite thing, but it truly is the best thing about this game. It's not even how you approach each mission. It's really when I'm killing enemies, just knowing the weapon that I'm using has its own uniqueness, you know, with the weapon recoil, with having certain attachments in a certain style, what kind of triggers you're using. I've always liked that about Ghost Recon, especially on Future Soldier, where you had countless amounts of weapon customization. They brought that over to Wildlands, and I just love using it. I just really can't wait till the PvP comes out, because I'm more on the multiplayer head side rather than the PvE. But that's really all I have to say. This was a project made by Ubisoft where I feel like, you know, they sacrificed the most important parts of this game for just visuals and just for weapons, and I feel like there could have been so much more added. They have this whole idea of joining forces in the United States and going into this environment, into this drug infested world, and having to take out cartels, and I feel like the approach was a bit off, and they could have went into this with a little bit more depth. But that's just my opinion. That's how I feel. This is my review and first impressions of the game. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys played it already, have it early or whatnot. If you're trying to play, my gamer tags are in the description below. But as a result, it's your boy 3MG. I'm out of here. Subscribe if you're new. Peace.
Bands in my pocket, MasterCard color. Yeah, guess a nigga match that. I got the high score up in the gym. You know, nigga match that. Everything I do inside me.